Layers are an important asset to Illustrator. So let's look at how we can manipulate some of our layered artwork. First of all, changing the stacking order. So the stacking order basically refers to how objects in a given layer or layers themselves are positioned either in front of or behind the other objects. I'm going to go ahead and open my leaves layer. Now I know that I have sub-layers in my leaves layer because I see a darkened triangle to the left of my layer name. That tells me that I have sub-layers. So in this layer, I have a number of sub-layers, and I can choose to change the stacking order by simply clicking on a sub-layer and dragging. When I drag, you'll notice a thick horizontal line, and that indicates where this layer will be placed. If I wanted to create a new layer, I need to click the New Layer icon at the bottom of my Layers panel. I have some other methods that I also can use to create a new layer. When I create a new layer, it is created directly above the current active layer. If I were to hold down my Control key and then once again click the New Layer icon, my new layer will be added at the top. A couple of items here that we see in our layers and sub-layers. We have a circle, and when an object is selected, we end up seeing a box. Okay, so this is my Indicate Selected Artwork icon, and this is my target. So I can utilize either one of those for selecting pieces within my illustration. If I would like to condense a layer, basically I just need to drag one layer directly on top of the other layer. When I do that, the repositioned layer becomes a sub-layer. I'll collapse this. Notice this is layer 3. I expand it. Here is my sub-layer now that has layers inside of it, and yet more layers inside of it with my text. You get a hierarchy of arrangement with your items. Stacking order still applies. Now looking at my sub-layers, every layer is made up of sub-layers. Let's look at the flower layer. So I have in this case 4 sub-layers. And remember, I know that I have a sub-layer because this little triangle to the left of the layer name indicates that there are indeed sub-layers. When I click on that triangle, it expands my layer, allowing me to see the sub-layers. Now some methods to rearrange. If I wanted to rearrange or reposition objects, simply just moving, if I click and move a sublayer or a layer, I will change the stacking order. I can also do a cut and paste, and if I were to cut this, select this item, cut it under Edit and Cut or Control X, and then paste it, I'd want to select the layer that I'd like to paste it on. Let's paste it on layer 4, and then do a paste. Control V or Edit Paste. Notice that in this case it pasted it in a different location. Let's undo that. Control Z. Let's go back and do an edit, and let's paste in place. There I will place it directly in the same place that I cut it or removed it from. The other method that I can use to reposition objects is to use what's called a Send to Current Layer command. To do this, I'm going to expand layer 4, which contains my pink petals object. With that object being selected, and I can either select it on the artboard, or I can use my little Indicate Selected Artwork button here to click. While that is selected, what I need to do is click the name of a destination layer. In this case, I'm going to move it back into my flower layer, and I'm going to go over to the Object menu to Arrange, and at the very bottom I have an option to Send to Current Layer. When I click that, my flower now is relocated back into the layer where it had started. And I can drag to set the stacking order correct. Here are some methods then for manipulating your layer artwork.